Let's talk about rec center instructors.
Where them kicks at? Where them hands? Where them holes? Where them throws? You know what I'm saying? Cecil.
Let's talk about the idea that rec center instructors are not as good or not as worthy as storefront instructors, people who have their own physical building for a martial arts school. Now, I have never been a storefront instructor. Okay, I've just recently I'm already a part-time rec center instructor, and I've just recently, in addition to that, started having being a part-time teaching out of my house instructor. And that's very recent. That's only been going on for about a month now. So on the instructor side of the house, those are the only two things that I can talk about. But as a student, on the student side of the house, I've trained in practically every type of environment that you could think of, save something that's like a cult, something that's like Fight Club. Even if I've only visited there once, I've trained in practically every type of facility. And this video is coming on the heels of my son didn't like a video that brother teacher made. I wish I could remember the name of it, but excuse my ashy elbows. But he was talking about basically saying, being a rec center instructor, it's not quite the challenge of running a storefront, which I agree with, which is true. I know that. That's why I'm not running a storefront right now. I have a regular job that I need to focus my energy on. And, I think in part of the video, you might get a tone from, you could interpret part of what brother teacher was saying, that, that like if you're being a rec person, he didn't like being a rec instructor. You need to step your game up to come out there and go out in the big pond and swim with the people who have their own storefront. And I guess he took offense to that because his dad's a rec center instructor. I told him, look, he's entitled to have his opinion about rec center instructors. I don't really care about that. But I say, you know what? I need ideas. So I'm gonna talk about that topic too, but I'm only gonna stick to what I know. Okay? And some of this stuff may kind of hit what brother teacher was saying a little bit. But I think it's a little bit of different slant. I will say, as an instructor, I can't say that I like teaching out of my house better than I like being a recreational center instructor. Okay? And I don't think that being a rec center instructor is bad at all. Okay? Honestly, if I want to be totally honest, at this point, they're both about the same for me. Okay? The pros and cons of teaching out of my house versus when I teach at the rec center. If it's out of my house, I can control exactly who's there, exactly when they come, exactly when they go. I have full control over the area. One thing I do like is now if class needs to run long or a parent needs to talk to me about something afterwards or a student needs to talk to me about something afterwards, I don't have to worry about, oh man, I got to get home because I'm already at home. And if there's something coming up to where I know there's going to be a big demand of my time, I can just cancel the class if it's out of my house, because the way I set it up, they're only quote unquote obligated to come 3 times a week, because I had a situation where, I don't want to go into that here, where I might be missing a week and a month. That kind of got wrenched up. It's a long story. So if we do 3 out of 4, they know that's cool and they're fine with that. So, and I can just adjust the price if anybody, feels slighted or whatever. But I have control over that in my house. Now, teaching at the rec center, I can't do that because that's a job. That's a job done through the county, and that's a job. And just like any other job, hey, we want you here at X30, and you got to be there at X30, from X30 to X30, from X clock to X clock. You got to be there. If you really can't be there, they have to cancel, and maybe they have to refund people's money back for part or all of the session, or you got to find somebody to cover. You got to find somebody to cover the class. And that could be a hassle to try to get somebody to cover for you at your job when you're not there. So that's a con to that. Now, as far as me teaching out of my house, again, if I had to cancel class, but I wanted class to go on, I mean, I have 2 black belts in my house that I can technically get to cover my class if I need to, because they live with me, my children. And especially with the group I have now, they're familiar with my children. So it would be okay. But, where Rec Center, I mean, straight up just has it beat over my basement, is they got the cool equipment. I mean, they got the big thick mats and and the punching bags and stuff like that. And I haven't got that stuff in my house yet. Eventually, in the long haul, the long-term goal is to have the house be just as good as going to the rec center. That's the long-term goal. But I mean, that may not happen for years. So that's the long-term goal, to have it all. If I move again, I already discussed with the wife. You're like, okay, you need a bigger area for where you like to do your martial arts thing. So we need to make sure if we move again, the house will be cut so that it's like that. Because right now, I'm looking at my basement now, the way it was designed. This part is clearly a man cave, which is cool. But I've seen some houses, and they're not even the same size as mine. They're smaller, but the way they designed it, there's an area that you could isolate off. Somebody could actually live in that area. Because one of my in-laws has a house that's like that, but his house is bigger than mine, though. But there's a part in the basement where I'm like, I ain't even, you can walk past that room. You wouldn't even know that room is there. You look in there, it's big enough. I was like, dude, you could be running a business out of there or something like that. Or just, he's like, oh, that's just going to be storage. So we're going to make sure that it's like that. So I have never, so that's from the teaching side. So I guess you could say county, you have to teach the public. Your house, you don't have to teach the public. You control who comes in and out of there. More time at your house, less time with the county, but the county has more facilities. And with the county, somebody else is handling payments. And with the county, if I need equipment, they get the equipment. With the county, you have more credibility too. Like the people I'm teaching now, I have earned that credibility with them over 10 years now. Over 10 years, they've known me. All right, we'll take a chance. So it took me like 10 years to get these folks to trust me enough to where, oh yeah, I'll drop my kids off at his basement, or I'll come to the basement. Parents still got to watch though. I still got that rule. Forget that. Parents still going to have to watch the class, but you got that where if you go into a rec center situation, county, you probably will have more credibility if you're an unknown martial artist. If you're famous, who cares? But if you're unknown like me, you get picked up by the county. They've done a background check on you. They do background checks on you. And the county's not going to hire anybody they don't think they can teach. So that's a word to the wise. Don't ever try to go down to one of these rec center places and challenge them people. And I'm not just saying this because it's me. I'm saying this from what I know from the student side of the game. Those people are vetted. Them people are tough. Leave them folks alone. I'm one of the nice ones. Leave them folks alone. I'm not saying they're going to be mean to you. You try them if you want to. It's your injuries. It's your ribs bruised up. Now, from the student side of the game, honestly, I have seen no difference in quality based on whether I've studied at a storefront or at a rec center or out of somebody's house. I've seen good instructors all. I've seen bad instructors all. One of the best instructors, one of the best instructors I've ever seen. He straight up wreck. And another one, the guy that was awesome. I mean, he moved so fast you couldn't even see his hands. He moved faster than that. Like if he did this, he's hit you twice. He was storefront. And I've met some people that started off rec and then went to storefront. I met another guy. He was always, I didn't train with him though, but he gave me some good business advice. I'm going to make a video about that. He was strictly entrepreneur. He was always an entrepreneur. And me, specifically, because of how I want to do things, can just think he's pausing. If you see me doing this, it's because when I'm recording, it's pausing. He told me to do like I'm doing. I'm going to make a video about that. But he was always an entrepreneur. So it just depends. It just depends upon the type of relationship that you have with your instructor. Even if they're teaching in a park, by a lake, in a stream, under the ocean, on top of a cloud, on the moon, in a cave, who cares? You might like training in a cave. You might like training over the fire. It's just tomato, man. And the good news is there are plenty of instructors. And I also think, this is a conclusion I've come to, I don't see storefront people as competition. I really don't think I'm competition for them either. Not just that they're in a different league. I think that it's two completely different clientele. Because like when I did storefronts because I had the time and the money at that point for that storefront to do it. But see, when I no longer had the time to do it, then I cut back to rec. Okay, I started off rec because that's what I knew. And then I tried that out because it's like, well, maybe I want to go more often. Then when I couldn't go more often, I cut back to rec. And then when time got a little more flexible, I've done done people who meet out of churches and stuff like that. And on the student side of the game, I'm telling you, it's just about who meets my needs at the time, the actual material covered, the competency of the instructor. I really saw no difference. I really saw no difference. And a good proof of that, honestly, is some people have been all three. I met people who they've been rec. They were like, I started off teaching in my basement, then I went to the rec center. Or I started at the rec center, then I taught my basement, then I got a storefront. Or I had a storefront for a while. Man, I got tired. I don't want to do that anymore. Let me just go back to the rec, or let me just teach. I teach who I like and stuff like that. I have my own private dojo now. So, it just is what it is. Whatever floats your boat is how you need to approach what type of instructors you want to study from and what type of instructor you want to be. So thanks for watching this video. Sorry it went on long. Like, comment, and subscribe, please. Like, comment, subscribe. Share this with people who like to talk about the martial arts. And peace.